time for Type 40, your Doctor Who podcast from the Spacebook for the Fandom Podcast Network. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks, designated driver, master of ceremonies, if you like. And whether you're completely new to the show or a long-standing companion, we remain the same free-speaking, big-thinking, eclectic, eccentric even, show for everyone, where Doctor Who meets common sense, but with plenty of laughs thrown in along the way. It's a Sunday, the 8th of May, 2022, and this time we're podcasting live at the close of another huge day in the Whoniverse. It's a legacy, a nearly 60-year legacy full of monumental days, isn't it? But this is the very latest, and at the close of this one, we're left with, aren't we, with at last a brand new Time Lord. There's more on him, yes, him, in a moment. But first, let's bring on our own historic panel of voices, faces, and Doctor Who stalwarts. Who's first? Yes, let's bring him on here in the Doctor Who loft, Mr. JT.
Hello, Dan, and hello, Spacebook. It's nice to see you all on this this day of history for Doctor Who.
History being made yet again in the Doctor Who universe.
I know, here we go again.
It never gets old, I think. Unlike the mega geek, Ian David Diaz.
I am retro. I am not old.
That's the spirit. Yes, we are joined by some of the regulars here for a big round table about the news that everybody's talking about and likely will be for weeks to come. And joining us, yes, hot foot from his, well, not sick bed because he's recovered now. We've also got Barnaby Jago, everybody.
Yes, I live. I'm amazed too. I'm pleased. It was touch and go there. No, great. Hello, Spacebookers, and hello, Dan. How are you all doing?
Yes, you're done with raising temperatures and back to raising hell.
Yes, I'm done with that particular part of my life. Of course, I get COVID when, it's just old news, always late to the party. Always fun. But it's been, news, finally. News.
Yeah. Who wants to be on trend anyway, everybody? Who wants to be on trend anyway? Maybe Charlotte Shields does. Let's have a...
I'm never on trend.
Okay. I think we're all on trend today, broadcasting live to YouTube and to Facebook, to all our companions out there in the Type 40 Facebook group and the Facebook page, and onto the Spacebook's YouTube channel. Hello to everybody out there. And if you're watching on Facebook, don't forget to hit the blue link there so that will let Facebook tell StreamYard, and StreamYard will tell us here in the console room who you are when we ask your opinions later on this monumental new news. Because, that's the whole reason why we've gone live, so we can talk amongst ourselves and to see what you've got to think, got to say, got to think about it all too. Oh, and more faces all the way from Tasmania. It's the mighty Matt Pot.
Hi.
He says,
it's wonderful to see James Corden finally getting his his stuff. I tell you, it's going to be fantastic to see him in the suit.
Do you think he's weeping now?
You know what? We have to live with him, Matt. It's all right for you way down there, but we've got to live with him. It's just
just weight off my shoulders, I tell you.
And a weight on our country. Bugger off.
Yeah, so he's back home now. So
back home.
to just live
I have to close the airport.
The BBC's probably going to give him a new show anyway. So
somebody will employ him somewhere along the line.
It'll be a
delighted. Calm down, everybody. Calm down, because I've got to bring him on. Yes, he's here. The original Lunatic, he's made it. And he's slightly wincing and he's bathed in sunlight again. It's Mr. Simon Horton.
Greetings.
Hey, different background.
Yes.
He's got the fire for some reason.
This is the very, very first time I think anybody's seeing the new background. My paint pots are just over there. I've taken a break from decorating and scraping walls to be here to talk about. Apparently there's some news, I've heard. Some news.
Yes, on with the show, everybody, on with the show. Yes, so there has been some news. And, we've all been waiting, I think, with bated breath, all of us, them too. And people out there, whether they're Doctor Who fans or not, have been, I think, waiting to see what they were going to do next. But we have, at last, got some news. We'll be coming to everybody else in the chat soon enough. But yes, today, after a agonizing wait, months and months and months of it, the longest wait in between the announcement of one Doctor leaving and another arriving in the show's entire history, we now have our new Doctor at last. And the BBC announced today that Ncuti Gatwa is the new Doctor to take charge of the TARDIS, they say in their press release. It says, star of stage and screen, Ncuti Gatwa is best known for his critically acclaimed performance in Sex Education as the iconic Eric Effiong. Iconic, for which he was awarded a Best Actor award at the Scottish BAFTAs in 2020. There are Scottish BAFTAs, JT.
Of course they are.
Okay.
Of course there are.
And as well as numerous nominations, including Best Male Performance in a Comedy Program at this year's Big BAFTAs. So we've got a quote from Ncuti coming up later on, but we're going to look at all of that, what he's been saying, what Russell's been saying, because of course Russell T Davies has plenty to say. But before that, we're going to go around the horn and ask everybody here what they think. Okay, so obviously we've been waiting on this news for several months, just like you have in the live chat. And until, I suppose it was a different name every 3 or 4 days. Now we have one, and we have a face, a name and a face right at the same time. I'm not going to lie, I had no idea how to pronounce this gentleman's name, but it is Ncuti. And yeah, where do we start? I think I'll start first of all with yes, he's smiling actually. Let's check in with Barnaby. What was your first instincts about this one, Barnaby? Had you heard of this actor? What do you think?
I had heard of this actor, and actually I knew him to be an incredibly funny actor from Sex Education.
Oh, you watched that show?
Yes, my girlfriend in particular absolutely adores it, and it's so strange that last week we were sending each other lots of different clips of him in that show, and he's got such an infectious laugh, and that character well deserved for that award he got in particular. So I am optimistic, I'd say, cautiously optimistic, because I mean it is going to depend on the writing, but I mean as we've seen from Colin Baker's round, you know, if there's a good actor in the main role, it can still be a really entertaining watch. So I'm optimistic, I think. Yes, I'm.
So as somebody who watches Sex Education, then Barnaby, God, that sounds well, doesn't it? You know what I mean. As somebody who watches Sex Education, I haven't seen it since I was 10 and very confused. So as somebody who watches that show, this character of Eric, what was his component part of that? Is he sort of comic relief? Is he the lead character? Is it an ensemble show? What's the deal there?
Comic relief, particularly, but he's. He has his own sort of like arc as well, but it really does. It's hard to describe. He's just so bloody funny and just really kind of like you remember him. And this is the thing as well. There are just no small parts. There are just brilliant actors in this particular role. So I think seeing him take more of a center stage in this particular role will be very interesting. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that about the performance, that he was a kind of comic relief and you couldn't keep your eyes off him. For a time, there was they haven't been able to leave the cast of It's a Sin alone, have they? No. All the speculation since we became aware there was a part going, people haven't been able to leave the cast of It's a Sin alone. Every one of them has been speculated, but Amari Douglas was in the frame for quite a long time, and whilst I wouldn't have said he was the comic relief in It's a Sin, he was very much that kind of character, the live wire, the person who you couldn't take your eyes off. JT, you also watched Sex Education, didn't you? What's your take on it?
I did watch Sex Education. I loved Series 1. Didn't particularly like Series 2. I think it ran out of steam halfway through and it got a little bit too political in the message and that sort of stuff. Is that God? What's happening there? Who's that?
Oh, that'll be my parents.
Shut up! Oh, okay. I'm going to disagree slightly with Barnaby on the role of Eric. Out of all the characters in Sex Education, I think Eric's my favorite, and I wouldn't say he was comic relief. I'd just say he was camp. And it's coming from my background and my community. I've dealt with that. I can be that. So I understood where Eric was coming from in a sense, because he was just it was just a young gay man finding his way in the world and being fabulous and over the top and all this sort of stuff and the dress sense and all that. So although he had some brilliant lines, I would just say he was expressing himself. And you're right as well about it, because he does have that wonderful arc in that. So yeah, but he was my favorite character. And I don't think on this occasion it was anything to do necessarily with the writing, because if you watch the show, the writing is actually very, very good and it's consistent. I do think it was the performance that got me, because I do think that Ncuti nailed the character of Eric. I think he understood Eric, and I think he put it together properly and then got it on screen properly. And you actually care about Eric, and I'm now slightly worried as to what's going to happen with him in the yet unbroadcast series 3. But there you go. Don't kill him off. Don't kill him off.
So this is quite a big show on Netflix, isn't it? As you say, 3 seasons in, a multi-award-winning show, and a cast headed up by, I suppose, the tentpole star of it was Gillian Anderson. Ian, you're a big fan of Gillian Anderson. Have you ever seen this show? Did you tune in to see her? And,
Nope.
and what are your thoughts about Ncuti? Have you seen him before in anything?
Don't know who he is. Never seen him in anything. And I love Gillian Anderson, but I've not watched this show. My thoughts on this is I'm not happy at all. Not happy that this guy's been cast as a Doctor. And I mean, to me, it's just been, they're doubling down as far as I'm concerned with the agenda. So good luck to everyone. I will though watch the first episode.
For the people who may not be aware of what you're referring to, what do you see as the agenda there?
I don't have to say it. It's obvious. It's right there.
No, for the people who are listening for the first time or watching for the first time, because we have got a lot of people watching.
First of all, look. First of all, he's black.
Are we talking about casting to type rather than casting based on abilities, casting on identity rather than merit? Is that what you're referring to?
I can't comment, but I do know that I'm against gender swapping, and also race swapping. And I know what people are going to say. Oh yeah, he's an alien. But I think the mistake comes from Moffat, because Moffat introduced the whole idea that a Time Lord can change with different accents and like, I think it was River Song she started off as black, did she? And then when she was young, and then was it River Song? Because when she was in school or something like that, she was black, and then stuff like that. And
I lost track of all that.
So Mel, I remember Mel,
yeah. So Moffat opened those doors, and I obviously don't agree with it. And they've cast this person, and it's obviously playing into the agenda of today and the politics of today. So, but as I said, I will give it a shot. I'll look at the first episode, and if it doesn't take, I'm out. That's as far as I'm going to go with it, basically. But I'm not happy. But I wasn't happy with Picoldi. But when I watched Picoldi, I really liked him. So it might be the same case with this guy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but we'll see, right? We'll see.
Well, like me, obviously, Barnaby and JT watched Sex Education. I didn't. I've never seen this man act ever until today. In fact, I've been so busy prepping this show, I didn't actually see him act in anything till about 45 minutes ago. So it's completely and utterly new to me. Apparently, before this big part in Sex Education, he was in a BBC sitcom called Bob's Servant in 2014. Was Brian Cox in that? That does ring a bell, but I don't think I actually watched it. And the TV adaptation of a novel called Stonemouth. He was in the Horrible Histories movie, whenever that came out. Now, that's a big show.
That was a couple of years ago,
I was aware there was a film of that, but I didn't really know what it was. And in 2023, he's going to be seen alongside Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling in the upcoming Barbie movie, obviously based on the Mattel toy line, isn't it? Amazing. I don't know who he's playing in that.
He's playing Ken.
Knows.
Who would be surprised? I think I'll hide myself now. There you go.
So, Charlotte, what do you think about Ncuti Gatwa? Have you seen him in anything? And what were your thoughts when this story broke this morning? It was around midday, wasn't it, UK time? And where did you see it? And what did you think?
Well, I was just like watching. I think I was watching a show on Netflix, not his show, and my messages just started going beep 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 beep.
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, something's happened, because it was like, And then I looked, and I didn't recognize the name, and then when I saw his picture, I still didn't know him, and I've not seen him in anything. But that actually excites me, and this overall, I'm very positive about this, because I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what sort of Doctor he's going to play, and I really am looking forward to seeing what sort of Doctor. And I'm going to be honest, the only real thing that I wanted to see was a male Doctor. Like, I didn't care any other aspect of the next casting. It just, for me, had to go back to male, had to go back to the traditional sort of format. And I see this as, that's the most important thing. So Russell, for me, by picking Ncuti, is doing that. He's reverting back to what worked. And I just think And I really quickly looked at some interviews when the news broke, just to get a bit of a vibe of his personality.
Yeah.
And he comes across very well. He comes across quite bubbly and quite energetic and very sort of he doesn't come across as cocky. That's what I like. It's like he's got that sort of charm and that energy, but he's not cocky.
Bouncy. He reminds me a little, because the clips that I've seen, which are very, very few, he reminds me of almost Tigger from the Winnie the Pooh stuff.
Well, that's the thing. He's got this youthful energy as well, which is really nice. So just off his personality, because I can't comment on the acting skills, I like his personality already, which is a good start, because I think the personality is so.
It is very important.
Yeah.
Because it's important that the actor finds within them, connects with the Doctor, and he kind of uses that role as it's been sort of laid down by these other fantastic actors, mostly over the decades. They can sort of somewhere along the way sort of marry that with their own personality and bring a Time Lord to life. When I saw a picture of him, I'm struck by how smiley he is and how young he seemed. But it says that Ncuti Gatwa is actually 29 years of age. He was born on the 15th of October 1992, which JT makes him a child of the wilderness years, the first Doctor to have been born post-classic era. But I don't think we should hover on that for too long. I don't think my nerves will stand it. So yeah, he's 29 years of age, and he was raised in Scotland, in Edinburgh and Dunfermline. I think I pronounced that correctly.
You have pronounced that correctly. I'll pass that.
Absolutely fantastic.
That's very good.
But he's listed as being a Rwandan stroke Scots actor.
Oh dear, sorry.
Yeah. So obviously here we are, Simon, with the first Doctor born in the wilderness years to be with us. I was wondering, does that make you feel old like it does me? But more to the point, what are your thoughts about this, about Ncuti Gatwa in the role? And had you seen him in anything? How do you feel about it all?
No, of course I hadn't seen him in anything. No, of course I hadn't heard of him. I'm far too old. I haven't got the foggiest who he is. But that doesn't bother me in the slightest. The person who takes on the role does not have to be a known name by any means, so that's not a problem. It's like, to be honest, the one thing that I'm extremely relieved about with all of this is it isn't Ollie Alexander. Thank God. To be honest, I can actually breathe a sigh of relief that it's not Ollie Alexander. But no, I hadn't heard of him. I say that doesn't cause me problem. I've never seen him in anything, or at least not aware of it. I have dipped into brief clips this afternoon that various people have sent to me. It's clear I am just far too old for this bloke. I suspect that the teenagers are just going to be going absolutely hoopla that this bloke has been cast as the Doctor. And there's nothing wrong with that. That probably is how it should be. The kids maybe as well. I simply don't know, to be honest. I've never heard of Sex Education even. The TV show, that is. I've never heard of it. Haven't got a clue. So it means I don't even know what channel it's on. Is it even on a terrestrial channel?
No,
it's just on Netflix.
I haven't got a clue. Never heard of it. What's Netflix? So I'm too old. But as I say, that in itself, again, is not a problem. Doctor Who has always, I feel, catered for the kids, for the teenagers, and that's probably what it's doing again now. As I say, the kids and the teens, I'm guessing, are excited, but I simply don't know, because I don't know what age group this guy is aimed at. So all that, as I say, in principle, is fine. Am I pleased about it? I am spectacularly indifferent because I know nothing about him. I have no feelings one way or another whether I'm pleased or not. I having watched the brief clips that I've watched this afternoon, I have to be honest, I'm going to take a heck of a lot of persuading. I will go out on a line and personally say, I think this is miscast. This is not who we want. Doctor.
It's a funny situation to be in. I was on social media. I put on Facebook. And I was just scrolling through Facebook. And
why would you do that?
This gentleman's face just popped up, and it said at the top, the 14th Doctor. And we've had so many potential Doctors over the last few weeks, and speculation, and people who claim they knew they knew who the Doctor was. People on social media accounts, people with pages and other content makers putting up images and claiming that something was official. There are even a couple of Twitter accounts that use official Doctor Who BBC logos and still put up these sort of, they call them pranks. I call it bullshit. It's just there to get people's hopes up, to get, you know, we've all seen them and we've all fallen for them. So I see this guy sort of just scroll up my screen and I just thought initially, who the hell's that? And then you check and it says official BBC and you think, oh God, then this is the guy. It's the guy. Is it the guy? It must be the guy. We have our 14th Doctor. Matt, how about you down there in Tasmania? What do you think about Ncuti Gatwa? Have you seen him in anything? And have you got any instincts about this one way or the other?
Well, all I can say is be careful what you wish for, because I did want a Doctor with a mustache.
Oh, I do hope he does keep it, actually. That'll be
I do too.
He hasn't got it at the moment, has he?
No,
he's taken it off. But he has got a whole little caterpillar underneath. But well, look, initially I was like, oh no, I'm like Ian, I'm just like, oh no, not again, you know.
Because Matt, it's the flip side, isn't it? To when they cast Peter Capaldi, most people had heard of Peter Capaldi. A lot of us had seen him in other roles. If it was it could have been Malcolm Tucker.
He was a British actor, wasn't he?
He was
a well-known British actor.
Yeah, because he's been around for a very, very long time. He'd been in things like the Vicar of Dibley, hadn't he? He'd been on Alexis Sale's show.
Yeah.
He'd done big movies like Local Hero. He was in that all the way back in 1979, 1980. This was a man that most of us knew, even if we didn't know his name. We knew we'd seen him somewhere. But this guy just seems like a total unknown quantity, and he's just as unknown to you as it was for the rest of us then.
I think it's the reverse, though, isn't it? Sorry, Matt. That must be the reverse. What you're saying there, Matt, and what you're saying there, Dan. When Capaldi was announced, a certain age group knew Capaldi, i.e. ours, and the kids didn't. Yeah. Now, unless you're watching things like Netflix, like me and Barnaby, because we're both hip and cool and young, you know, you won't know necessarily who Shut it. What are you laughing at? You won't know who Ncuti is, basically, because the kids do.
Yeah.
You know? See what I mean?
Which is, I see exactly what you mean. And he's certainly, I think he does a lot of magazine shoots. I'll say that for him. He's got more credits for magazine shoots than he has acting roles, but that may not be a bad thing either.
I like his shirt. I want his shirt. That's a cool shirt.
Yeah, it's got. I'm not sure what those patterns are all over. It looks like
some people signed it or something.
It's like your last day at school where people sign your school shirt.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy as long as he doesn't start dressing like Huggy Bear. I'm really, really happy.
I don't think. I mean, that's the expected thing about it. You know, all that aspect that we now start to look at.
There's a question
would have been made.
But there's a question, isn't it, about because he's black, are they going to play on that? Is his character going to be more of a cultural thing when it comes to being black? So those are the questions, and it's going to be interesting to see how far that Russell T is going to push.
Obviously, the answer to that question, if it was Chris Chibnall still showrunning this program,
we know
absolutely yes. Of course, it would all be. It would all be trading on the actor's identity, and it would all be full of the most outrageous on the nose messages, and the character would be next to unrecognizable. But in the hands of Russell T Davies, not just based on his Doctor Who track record, but based on the fact that he's one of the. I still think that man is the best British screenwriter that we've got, the best living British screenwriter that we have, with a track record for making some of the most compelling British drama of the last 25 years. He very rarely has an off day. And so to see Russell, who I think Russell's about 56, 57, something like that.
No, he's 60 next
59.
year.
He's 60 next year, good Lord.
60 next year, he's the same age as Doctor Who.
But still, arguably, apart from bringing back Doctor Who, I think that It's a Sin was probably his biggest ever show. And to know that he's gone to Doctor Who next, that this is what he wants to do, I think he must have chosen his leading man very, very, very carefully.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the thing about this is that Russell this afternoon has let it be known that they had somebody in mind after all the auditions, and then suddenly Ncuti came in and blew that decision away because he just grasped the Doctor. We know because we covered on Type 40 Live that Russell's been writing and preparing this for some time now, and he's well into writing the next version of the show, whatever that's going to be. So for an actor to come in and do that, I'm hoping that with Russell's intense ability, he's just written the Doctor, and anybody could have played that because the Doctor, as Terence Dix used to say, God love him, is the Doctor. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. But I can't think, Ian, why anybody would suddenly say, well, the colour of your skin is this, so therefore you have to write around that, apart from certain people.
But I suppose, is there a danger that it will now be referred to within the show, which it shouldn't be, in the same way that I really didn't want to constantly be reminded that, the 13th Doctor's a woman. I don't want to be reminded that the 14th Doctor's black. That we've just, if you're going to ask that actor, that's fine, but that's where it stops at the door, as far as I'm concerned. We really, if they start making this an issue and talking about, the Doctor's now black, within the show, I'm out of here. I'm done, because that's not what I'm watching Doctor Who for.
Well, Ian made a good point to me when we were talking about it, was that Ian, you probably say this point, but better than I.
No,
but it was just the fact that and I never even thought of it, to be honest. But he's a time traveler. If he goes back to the 18th century America or anything like that, it's going to have to be explained, isn't it?
Yeah, but what's wrong with that?
It's going to have to be referenced.
In the narrative,
Charlotte?
I was going to say, it's going to have to be referenced. It would be odd if it wasn't, because of the actor they've picked. But I think, honestly, on that front, I think the comments they've made later on, once the announcement happens, actually is giving me more hope in that regard. Because when Russell started to speak, when Ncuti started to speak, they themselves, I'm going to have to get used to his name.
No, you're right. I was just taking a piss. I'm saying Ncuti.
when they started talking, they weren't out there going, I'm this, I'm that, which is what we had with Jodie straight out of the gate.
Yeah.
And that's given me hope in that regard to possible politics being played here.
Well, I think it's... Who's talking? Sorry.
Go for it.
Sorry, Sam. I've been looking at social media, and we'll come to some of that later on in the show today. And there's this whole thing. I think one of the things we've got to remember is that all these questions that are being asked now, and these discussions we're having, is actually going to be very, very natural after 4 years of absolute PC nonsense. Absolutely. Because that's what the fandom is now about. It's about the tick boxing element. I'm more inclined to say it doesn't matter what the person's skin color is. We've got the Doctor back. We've got a male in the lead. I'm very interested to see how Ncuti's going to play this, because I've only seen him as Eric, and I want to see what Russell, Julie, Jane, Phil, and anybody else that was in that room saw in the audition to make them say, that other guy that we were talking about, we're not having him now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if we are looking at a properly structured story where the Doctor is going back in time and there is that element, deal with it, because you'll have to, and it'd be a new experience for the Doctor, because he's never been black before, so that'd be a new experience. I don't think they're going to go down the route that Chibnall did with Jodie. I think that was huge.
Well, that's where the woke agenda is going to just come hitting back at us, big time. And I disagree. I think we don't have to talk about the color whatsoever, because if they do, and I suspect this is what will happen, I think Russell will do it as a hitting the reset button in exactly the same way as he did with Rose. And he'll hit the ground running with a brand new series. And we're going to have brand new companions. So the companions will never have seen the Doctor. And so there's no need for them to talk about it.
It's true. It's very true. I do agree with that element. But to address the point that people were saying before about, if he goes back in time, like Matt was saying, and somebody says something about that, get over it very quickly, because it's historical accuracy. And you can't deny it. And listen, people cannot deny our history as a human race. It was violent.
The BBC does all the time.
Screwed. Well, I don't know if
that's what worries me, JT. I worry that, yes, you're talking sensibly. We're talking about the BBC here.
Well, we've got to imagine it's not the BBC now, guys. Come on, let's it's Bad Wolf Productions with BBC Studios.
That's the thing that's hardest to get used to. What is going to be the balance between that which the BBC ask for, push for, and softly demand? I don't think the BBC are in any position to demand anything with Bad Wolf and Sony. I really don't. I think they'll have almost as little creative input into this as they do as to what Big Finish put out. I think that they'll get to sort of pretty much just to sign it off after it's delivered. there'll probably be junctions at various points where they can object to whatever decision's been made. But I think it's all going to be in the hands of Bad Wolf and Russell T Davies this time.
I think we have to also come to the conclusion as well that whatever was going to happen after Whittaker and Chibnall was going to be dodgy. Better. And we've said this on our show before. Yeah, if they had gone for a white man, right now, which they could have done, imagine the furore today. If they had gone for another woman, or the majority of us would have been out. If they'd gone for a black woman, the majority of us would have been out, and we would have all had all this continuing ist and phobe and whatever else. This was a no-win. So I'm hoping, and I am sure, I'm actually going to contradict some things I've said on previous shows. I'm sure they've made a sensible decision based on the fact that I'm putting my trust in the fact that these were professionals in the room and adults.
Here's hoping.
Me personally, as an Australian,
he's Australian. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, because I have an Australian babel fish in my hair, so that's the reason why I can't understand you. But one person I couldn't understand was Ncuti in his normal accent, because I saw some behind the scenes as soon as he was announced. I thought I'll check out on YouTube and that. I love his Scottish accent, but the way he talks, I can't understand a word he says.
That could be.
I'm just being honest here.
Yeah,
I don't want to watch Miss Doctor Who with subtitles.
Accepting that could be a barrier. The good news is that Ncuti Gatwa is an actor.
He is an actor. Yeah, he'll make up an accent, darling. He could say, "Look, like Barnaby crying out loud."
Yeah, couldn't they give him an RP accent? I could give him some lessons. You know?
You can.
I'm the doctor, don't you know?
David Tennant put on an accent to play this role for nearly 4 years. I mean, when I saw this, I didn't recognize him. Obviously, I'd never heard his name. I've never seen him act, as I've said. But I've got to be honest, I almost literally punched the air. I was jumping for joy internally. I feel like my childhood hero is very much back in the room. The Doctor is a male. They've cast another man in this role. It's an unknown actor. To me, he's an unknown actor. You know what? To the general public, I think he's still a next to unknown actor. I find that incredibly exciting. I think he's about the right age, certainly the right age that we were expecting. I think between 28 and 35 max was what we were going to get. So he's kind of exactly.
I'm the only one here that was disappointed with it then.
Well, we'll come back to that.
I was disappointed with it too, Ian. I was.
Okay, we'll come to that in a second. Please let me finish. But what I'm saying is that there are possibilities, the opportunities for creative success, evolution of the series and the character here are more than there have been since Matt Smith took this role. I don't know. Obviously, Russell is wherever Russell is at. Why he's come back to this show, the kind of stories that he wants to tell. We're not 100% certain about that, which version of Russell T Davies storytelling we're going to get. But I believe that this is, I think, Simon, we've said it several times, this is a part that when it's used most effectively, it is a star-making role. Yeah, and, Ncuti Gatwa could be, in 5 years' time, he could be the next big actor to come out of this show. Who knows? I think it's all to play for, and I'm really, really excited by this. We're going to check in with everybody who's watching on YouTube and Facebook in a moment to see what they've got to say. But first of all, it's my duty to remind you that if you'd like to do some real-time traveling of your own, each and every edition of this show, past, present, or future, is just a tap or two away on the device of your choice. If you know where to look, there's well over 100 now. Great conversations, reviews, previews, interviews, geek outs, and deep dives with all our regulars, some of this lot and other people, and our awesome guests. We know there's something for every fan at type40.podbean.com. There'll be more about all of that a little later on. Okay, let's go and check out what everybody's saying over in the live chat on YouTube and Facebook. Darren Shaw. Hi, Darren. He's in with a nice. I'm not sure who that's for, whether that's for shooting
nice
or for us. Or
just didn't realize you can see my legs.
Yeah. Alan Reese says, I think what a lot of us have been saying, maybe, but we've just been through 5 years of hell, so I'm gun shy. It has been a terrible 5 years, creatively and critically. Watching Doctor Who has been a chore. Let's hope that does change. Enigmatic Joker says, hello all.
Hello,
Enigmatic Joker. Good to see you there, Enigmatic Joker. We've got a good evening, everyone, from Derek.
Hi, Derek.
Hello, chat, and the panel from Garbage. We've got a hello, everyone, from whoever that is.
Mr. Pot.
Sir. And we have the Department of Wendology also checking in. Imagine she's listening quite intently to make sure that we're staying within Ofcom rules or whatever else. Hello, friends and like-minded guests, says Daniel Leach. Good to see you, Daniel. Mega Neurobytes here too. And I don't know what he's talking about. We'll come back to that another time. Robbie the Robot says it's his first performance as if his first performance as the Doctor hits a home run, I will sing his praises. Until then, he gets nothing. That's
spot on.
But fair. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that in 2017 when Jodie Whittaker was cast, social media was ablaze with "give her a chance, give her a chance, give her a chance, give her a chance, give her a chance," and there's not really, and we'll come to this later on. There's not really any of that at the moment. And I think there should be.
Oh, really?
See,
we
have to see the role. Yeah. We have to see what this actor, another young,
like him, though.
Painfully young, shooty, painful.
I think a lot of people are saying that they're for him. I think I'm in the minority, and not.
Well, it's interesting.
I'm in the minority.
We'll come to it a bit later on because I've got loads of stuff because it's different.
Literally, as we're doing this, as we're streaming this now on Sunday the 8th of May, and looking into the live chat, these are the only comments that I have seen. So all of this is new to me. We've got Mega Neurobyte says, "Congrats to those of us who care about Doctor Who being an escapist entertainment sci-fi fantasy franchise." Hands up, who's in favour of that? I certainly am. So.
Yeah. That's what it is. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
And what else? We've got Carol Jude here. Good to see you, Carol. Who else is here? Yeah, lots of optimism, in fact. Father Christopher Miller. Good to see you, Father Christopher. Hail to the chat. Is this a good thing at the Spacebook? I've never heard of Ncuti Gatwa before. Neither had I, mate. Neither had I. Welcome to the club. You're finding out about him just as we are. Yeah.
I mean, in many ways, as I say, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, nobody had heard of Tom Baker when he was cast as the Doctor, so that's not a problem.
Or Matt Smith.
The problem comes whether the actor has any quality, and that's where I'm, remain to be convinced.
Do you not find, Simon, that could be exciting for you though? Because here comes somebody along who you don't know, who's going to bring in a Doctor for you, in a sense. Do you know what I mean?
No, I honestly don't consider it to be exciting. As I say, I'm indifferent to it. I'm prepared, and I fully 100% am prepared to give this guy a chance. And I will be watching, of course, and I'm coming with a clean slate, and I'm prepared to be impressed. As Robbie the Robot was saying, if he hits home run on the first show, knockout. No, it's not that I'm excited or not excited. I'm just, as I say, I'm indifferent to the whole thing, and I'm just waiting to be impressed. It's just that. So far, of the clips I've seen, I honestly do not feel that this guy has what it takes to be the Doctor. But that's me.
I think
that's me too.
Me too, Ian.
I think we've all just been so much damaged by what's happened in the past now. And even now, I do, and I sort of agree with Ian on this kind of point that you kind of we're even looking at a casting right now, and we're thinking, is it because of this, or is it because of this? Is it for a tick boxing thing, or is he actually good for the part? I mean, the saddest thing that someone has said on this podcast now is that it could never have been a white man, and isn't that sad?
That's sad.
It is.
And the sad, even it could never be a black person or a woman. I mean, we now have to look at the show and go it could never be that because of current day. Isn't that sad?
Yeah, but that's where we are, isn't it? That's the reality of the world we're living in now.
We've been talking on this show, on Type 40 and Type 40 Live, Barnaby, for months. We've all said it. I don't think any of us have been in any doubt that the next Doctor was going to be a black man. And there
I was.
Why shouldn't he? In some of our again, plenty of our finest actors are black men, people like Adrian Lester, Patterson Joseph, lots and lots of them, Idris Elba, lots and lots of them. So why not? And that's why. And I think this is why I'm sympathetic to what Ian said, because the fact that we are uncertain as to whether this gentleman has been cast because he was right for the role, or because he's got all those characteristics that they viewed as the correct way to cast this part. Next, Barnaby, is that what you mean?
Yeah, but and the previous show, the previous series with Jodie Whittaker has created that, and isn't that awful?
Yes.
I think we're all just so damaged because of that that we're now looking at this casting and thinking we're not even thinking that he's. I mean, we're sort of like not thinking whether or not he's a good actor or not. I mean, lots of us are and lots of us aren't, and it's just kind of like. For me, I'm just going to just see how it goes, and so cautiously optimistic. But I just see both sides of the argument so much, and the fact it has to be an argument about that is just. It's just sort of it's crazy. It's crazy what the last series has done.
Well, of course, I mean, in a way, an interesting fact to know will be Chris Chibnall made it very clear that he only I maybe I'm misquoting here as to whether he saw males as well as females for the role, but certainly he made very clear that they were intending to cast a woman. They had decided the time was right to cast a woman. So I would like to know, I genuinely would like to know, did Russell and the others decide that now is the time to cast a black man, and did they only see or a black person, either a woman or a man, and was that decision made? And did they? Was that all that they saw? And that, if that's
sad.
That makes me I worry about that, because then are we casting the best person, or are we doing what Chris Chibnall did and decided to cast a woman? We shouldn't be deciding anything. We shouldn't be deciding it's going to be a white male either. We should be having the best actors through the door and casting the best actor.
I think I understand where you're coming from on that, but again, I think we need to look at the bigger picture. We've got some industry professionals here. We've got Russell, we've got Julie, we've got Jane, we've got Phil Collinson. If they were reduced to this tick boxing element to that extent, then not only would they be breaking the law of employment, but I think it would belittle them a lot. And I'm more than happy to say, well, they went and looked at the right man for the job. And as I say, there was another one in the frame, and then suddenly, but you know, it's at the moment. So this thing we have to wait to see what Ncuti's going to do and how his performance is going to be, and what sort of character will he portray. I mean, my biggest concern when it was when I got the text from a mate of mine saying your new Doctor Who's about to be announced, and then when it was announced, oh God, he's young again. That was my biggest. Oh God, he's 29. You know,
the announcement when it did come, it was understated. It's not like any announcement that we've really had before, and it's not one that any of us really predicted. I know there's a big thing going on later this evening at the BAFTAs. We'll come to that later too. But it did. They've just sort of snuck it out, which you could say that was, you know, what are they hiding? That people could be reacting quite suspiciously to that. You know, the fact that they've picked a next to unknown or whatever else. But I actually think it's quite a confident thing to do. They just want to get on with
how they do it. I mean, it's how they did it with Eccleston. It's how they did it with Tennant. I mean, you know, a lot of this was on social media today. I mean, we had something that somebody was saying, you know, what an underwhelming way to announce a new Doctor. It's not. It's how we used to do it. It's, you know, and also we've got to remember as fans that the show is in trouble, and to do something like they did for Whittaker, not only does it cost, but to do something like they did with Capaldi or even for Smith, wouldn't have garnered viewers at all. The British public don't care. So to do something a little bit classy, as we have predicted on this show before, to be just put the press release, and if the rumor is true, ahead of the time that they wanted to, it's just a little bit of a classy element, really, just to say, right, here it is. No fuss, no, because that's how we used to do it. But imagine what's going to be on the papers tomorrow morning, Monday the 9th of May.
Yeah, and another way doing it like this means you were just concentrating on the actor. You're not concentrating on the circus around it. You were just zoning in on him, which maybe that's also why they did it this way.
Charlotte, I was expecting them to do what they did with Tennant, was to actually take a picture of him and whoever his companion was going to be on set in costume. There's your new Doctor. We're filming. Leave us alone. We'll see you next year. That's what I was always expecting.
Yeah, but the difference is we have got a 60th first to film. So it makes me think they're going to be a bit more piecemeal, maybe this time round.
I just want to see him in the Jodie costume when she changes.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
Friends here watching in the live chat, Richard Brooks says, "Well said, Barnaby." We've got a couple of those actually. Come to think of it, John Cartwright says, "Ian, you're not on your own. I'm very disappointed." That's John Cartwright there. Bobson says, "All I'm saying is that I would support a female Doctor Who if she was hot."
Lydia West.
Co-signed that. Co-signed. Duncan Shaw adds, "Seeing an actor's performance is believing in his ability to play the role. Moons of Madness says there's no reason it couldn't be a white man. No reason at all. Again, it's right too. Jamie Knight says, hurt people. Don't take out your previously abusive relationship on your next potential love.
That's a nice point, Jamie.
Yeah, very profound. And that does hit home too. Curtis M_36, hiya Curtis, says, I was expecting another female and I was really hoping for Saran Jones. She was phenomenal as the Doctor's wife, and Capaldi set a precedent, but I'm optimistic about Ncuti Gatwa and Russell T Davies. Good to have you here, Curtis. And Saran Jones, an actress I've always liked. I suppose I can see why people would look to her as a potential Doctor if you believe that the part was female. It's good to have you here. What's this? Aleski L says we've had plenty of white men in the role of the Doctor already for the love of God.
I don't like that comment. I don't like. I like no disrespect. I can't stand that sort of comment. Who cares? It shouldn't be about the color of the skin. It should be about the ability. Now, also that ties in with the fact that Britain was a totally different country. Totally different country when Doctor Who was originated in 1963. We were white. We were predominantly white. The majority of our talent was white. Let's get over that. But you know what, Ian? I'm saying predominantly. We were predominantly a white-based country. And
I was in the 60s.
Things like, we have plenty of white men in the role. I mean, that's just nonsense. Yes, we did, because that's what was available between 63 and 89. You know, and it's a different United Kingdom now. So, like it or not, we have to get used to the fact that talent must rule. Yes. And if if some guy comes along and shows in an audition that he can play the Doctor, give him the bloody job, and then let's go.
And that's why, as I say, I'm looking forward to being proven that he can do it. Knock on, give it, fantastic. I think that's the one thing. Somebody made a comment. Let's be optimistic. I think we're all prepared to give this guy the chance. None of us are sitting here and saying, I am not watching that. I'm out of here. No, we're all sitting here and saying, yeah, bring it on.
Well, because we all want Doctor Who to work. We all want Doctor Who to work.
And it might just do that, Ian. Yeah, it might just work with Russell leading it and Bad Wolf leading it and BBC Studios and leading it. And now with this actor who we have either not seen or we've had limited exposure to, this could be the rebirth it needs. I'm saying could.
Exactly. How can I be either positive or negative about an actor who I've never seen in?
Exactly. I really want him to work, but I can't hide my disappointment that they never cast. I can say this because I am not white. I'm disappointed they never cast a white guy, because I believe that the Doctor is white and he's a male. But if this is the case, and because of today's politics that they've cast this person as that, as JT says, let's see what he can give us. Because they must have cast him for a reason, right? So let's just see what this guy can give us.
Well, I'm personally disappointed. I personally think he's the wrong person for the role. Because
I think he's wrong too.
I genuinely, I've said this before on the show, the role needs somebody with gravitas.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any. What I've seen is what Charlotte's described as a really great, bouncy, bubbly guy, and he's really good with the kids. And I'm sure that's brilliant. But that's not, to me, what the role of the Doctor is. The role of the Doctor is a mercurial character who's very, very quirky, very off the wall. And maybe this guy is. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he isn't. I'm saying I haven't seen. I don't know. I'm not convinced that he is. He certainly, from what I've seen of him, doesn't have the kind of gravitas that I think the role requires.
There's been elements in Sex Education where his character has been through, it's been through a controversial for young people storyline, because he fell in love with his bully, and his bully fell in love with him, and it turned into a actually very sweet but complex love story.
Yeah,
because the bully was denying his own sexuality, and the way that was played between the two actors, Simon, was wonderful. And Ncuti himself there played it with realism and with this ability. And the moments where his character broke down and cried, I felt, oh my God, that's so heartfelt, because there's that ability. But again, it's an actor, and if we all know that when you're playing the Doctor, as part of your audition, you're given 3 or 4 set pieces of trying to define the Doctor's ability to be humorous, eccentric, serious, and badass. And if he's pulled that off and blown these people away, these professionals in this room.
But I mean, just to sort of round off my comment, Kelly Lynch, I can see, said in the chat, Simon, to me, would you have said that Matt Smith had gravitas before you saw him in the 11th hour? No, I wouldn't. And no, he still didn't have gravitas. I'm sorry. I still think Matt Smith was miscast. I'm sorry. He wasn't.
That's surprising.
Right, get me off this stream now.
I'll step in here and just remind
the Doctor. I'm sorry.
I'll remind you, but something that you have also said several times on the show, Simon, is that you crave at seeing an interesting actor in this role. Now, I haven't seen him in other things. I haven't seen him act at all, really, so I can't say whether he is that kind of
I agree.
character. But from what Barnaby and JT say, it does sound that he may. Because I felt that Amari Douglas was very much in that role, in that mold. You could not take your eyes off that man when he was on the screen, even if he wasn't saying anything, because the way he moved, the way he performed, the way he connected with other actors was just really interesting. And maybe this man has the same quality. I just don't know.
I find that the exciting thing. I mean, when I saw who it was, I was sort of a little bit like, wow, that's left field. That's way out. None of us saw that one coming. But then when I was thinking about it and looking at the social media, Ncuti, R2D2, RTD, there is a sort of, I mean, I was quite surprised to learn that he'd auditioned, because in my mind, there's a sort of fit there between the work that Ncuti would have done already, which Russell would have been very, very aware of, because you can guarantee he watches everything on telly anyway, even the crap, but he would have watched Sex Education. I can guarantee you he would have watched Heartstopper, the current Netflix fabulous, hugely popular worldwide drama. And then Ncuti comes along. And I was quite surprised that, he actually auditioned, because there's a sort of fit there between all the characters that we are aware that Russell can write, from Queer as Folk up to It's a Sin. Ncuti sort of fits into that whole Russell T Davies world. You know what I mean, don't you, Barnaby?
Oh, no, sorry, I was just agreeing with Tony, Dan. Wasn't listening to anything you were saying.
Tony Farrell is in the live chat.
Sorry.
I agree with Barnaby, but it's across all franchises. Hopefully the tide is turning, and Ncuti has only been cast for his abilities. I think we're all hoping for the best. We love it, don't we?
Yeah, that's a good segue to what I wanted to say, was the fact that
drinking.
Listen, but I do get drunk occasionally, especially at nearly 5 o'clock in the morning, mate.
Sorry, pal.
No, it's good. But look, I've been away from this show for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've not watched one episode. And you know what I miss most? Watching new Doctor Who. And I'm really going to go, okay, you know what? I need to give this a go, because this is going to be the last time that I will
Last
probably
chance
watch the show.
there for Matt
It
Bart.
has to, I mean, I left it for a year to see how well it had gone. And then when I heard all the feedback, I was like, no, this show isn't for me at all. It's not being made for me anymore, obviously. And so I was like, I'd made the right decision. Otherwise I would have done a catch up and caught up on it. And, I've missed new adventures. I've missed the Doctor, and I really want him back. And I don't care what shape he takes, because it's a male role, and as far as I'm concerned, they got half of it right. Now they need to prove that the acting ability is there,
Yeah.
And so
that picture. Sorry, Dan. You know the picture you put up just now with him, with Ncuti. Is he not put his arm in one of those in the shirt? Because it looks like that. Sorry.
No,
is it part of the shirt? It just looks like the arm is.
We've got a comment here from.
Like I was telling you earlier, it's fashion, darling. You won't know anything about it.
Look at the way I dress.
We've got a comment here from YouTube who says that in Sex Education, there's a character in that show called Tom Baker.
Who knew?
I did. No idea. I knew that.
Cybermat Strike says, "Hi, Space Bookers, exciting news."
Hi, Cybermat Strike.
Yes, it is exciting news. And yeah, we've got lots more. So keep all that coming. Glad so many people have joined us here live on YouTube and Facebook on this landmark evening.
Like and subscribe. Come on.
Find out who the 14th Doctor is. Yeah, if you are watching, please like the video, particularly if you've been here this long. You're enjoying our company like we're enjoying yours. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Go on, subscribe to the Spacebook channel for more Type 40 podcasts, live streams, extra videos, and all the other content too. Why not treat yourselves? And hit the little cloister bell so you get the notifications about when we're dropping whatever we're doing next. I think that, we'll come back to the chat a little bit later on, but now we're going to head back to the main conversation, and we're going to hear a little bit maybe from Ncuti Gatwa himself. Yeah, so as I said, this guy is a complete unknown quantity to me, so quite understandably, I'd like to know what he's about, what he sounds like, what his personality is like, get some feel for the energy surrounding this guy, Charlotte. I think we like to, when we think about the Doctor, the idea of the kind of person the Doctor is, so he's an alien, he's this benevolent alien who can change his face and everything, but we still have our idea and our own subjective connections with this character, don't we? So when we hear there's a new actor being cast in the role, we want to see them and sort of look in their eyes and hear their voice, and just to see if we can see a glimmer there, don't we?
Yeah, because it's important that an actor does put some of themselves, not all of it, because like you said, there's traits we know, there's a history we know with the character, but it's important. And I think also I was looking on purpose to see what he said because of the atmosphere in the fandom right now, and to see would he say anything like that would possibly get one side happy and one side not. Like, the fandom's in this very awkward spot, so I think it was very important how he first presented himself and his first sort of statement and words, and to give us a bit of an indication how sort of he sees the role, which is just as important, I think, as anything. Honestly, for me it is, because I always do that when a new Doctor's announced. I always try and look for their first interview or something.
It was interesting, wasn't it, from his press release, Charlotte, because I don't think he slipped up. Personally.
No, it was very good.
Unlike his predecessor, who alienated 50% of the fan base immediately with that statement,
straight away.
My gender. And he's come across in a mature sort of way with his possibly very rushed statement.
We have the press statement right here, JT, actually, and let's see what Ncuti's got to say for himself. He says there aren't quite the words to describe how I'm feeling. A mix of deeply honoured, beyond excited, and of course a little bit scared. This role and show means so much to so many around the world, including myself, and each one of my incredibly talented predecessors has handled that unique responsibility and privilege with the utmost care. I will endeavour my utmost to do the same. And
you've got to love him for that, haven't you? You really have got to love him for that.
Yeah, he says, he finishes off with, I may only have one heart, but I am giving it all to this show.
It's wonderful.
Your
very
thoughts,
humble,
Simon?
Eloquent.
Yeah, very eloquent.
Yeah, beautifully so.
Yeah, that's just kind of the perfect statement. I mean, that is the kind of thing that we want to hear as fans, and he's clearly taking it very, very seriously, and that is a fantastic place to start. It's a very humble statement. It's a very energized and optimistic statement, and that's why certainly, although I'm not yet convinced that he's right for the role, am I prepared to give him chance? Absolutely. Bring it on. I'm looking forward to the first episode now, just to see what he does do, and that kind of statement alone makes you say, yeah, okay, I'll give you a chance. Absolutely.
He's taken it in good faith.
Yeah. Maybe hear him say this. Is it like a recording?
This is the press release, Ian. This is what they put out.
So it's possible that he didn't write this. It was probably
I would say I was thinking the exact same thing.
It would have been curated the way that every single press release is sculpted.
Yeah, they would have vetted it.
I mean, on the back of this, on the same press release, we also have Russell saying his bit. Have you got that as well, Dan? Or
I have indeed. Well, firstly, we've got a quote we've got more words from Ncuti, who speaks about Russell. It says Russell T Davies. Yeah. Russell T Davies is almost as iconic as the Doctor himself. I bet you loved that, didn't you, Russell? I bet you loved that. Yeah, he's almost as iconic as the Doctor himself, and being able to work with him is a dream come true. His writing is dynamic, exciting, incredibly intelligent, and fizzing with danger. An actor's metaphorical playground. The entire team have been so welcoming, and they truly give their hearts to this show. Yeah, and as one would imagine, Russell, as you say, JT, Russell's got some words too. In introducing his next leading man, he says, the future is here and it's Ncuti. Sometimes talent walks through the door and it's so bright and bold and brilliant. I just stand back in awe and thank my lucky stars. Ncuti dazzled us, seized hold of the Doctor and owned those TARDIS keys. What is it with the TARDIS keys all the time, everybody? Yeah. Own those TARDIS keys. It's such a cliche. In seconds, it's an honor to work with him and a hoot. I can't wait to get started. I'm sure you're dying to know more, but we're rationing ourselves for now. Your thoughts, JT? Go on, sorry, Simon.
No, all I was going to say is apparently he's been cast since February, hasn't he? They've been keeping
That's right.
Yeah.
February, which is a long time. That is a long time to keep.
Well, I think it would have been longer, Simon, because the word is that this was rush release because the press, as usual, the great British press, got hold of this story and was about to break it. And they wanted something a bit more official.
So I suppose it is possible that we might have ended up with an all singing and dancing show spectacular reveal or whatever, rather than what we.
I guess
it's possible, but then again, the timing of it with the 2022 BAFTAs taking place this evening in London, it does mean they've had that sort of red carpet launch really that they haven't had to pay for. In fact, Russell T Davies has mentioned that. I've got a clip of them both.
Before you mention that, Dan, before you show it, I mean, the thing is now they've just done what Russell did not want to do, and they've overshadowed the last Chris Chibnall, Jodie Whittaker. Who is hosting the BAFTAs? It's Jodie Whittaker.
Oh, is it?
And who's going to get the press? Ncuti.
I didn't know that. We were joking about this. Myself and Sarah, Starry-Eyed Girl, were talking about that the other day. I didn't think she was hosting the event.
I heard she was. I might be wrong. And if I am, Facebookers let me know. But I believe
she was giving birth live on stage, wasn't she?
Anyway, let's hear Ncuti.
Ayoade. It's Richard Ayoade who's hosting.
Is it Richard Ayoade? Right. Well, she must be giving out an award then. Just like
she's on the front of the Radio Times, isn't she?
Yeah.
She preggers.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. We have here
Good luck to her.
Ncuti and Russell T Davies actually going into the BAFTAs early this afternoon, and they stopped for a quick word with this presenter. I don't know who it is, so let's have a look and see the chemistry between them. And this was the very first time that I'd ever heard Ncuti Gatwa speak. So check this out.
Can I get subtitles?
You just have to try.
It's really amazing, and it's a true honor. This role is an institution, and it's so iconic, and it means a lot to so many people, including myself. And so it makes everyone feel seen as well. It's something that everyone can enjoy. So I feel very grateful to have had the baton handed over, and I'm going to try to do my best.
It was our last audition. It was our very last one. We thought we had someone, and then in he came and stole it. And genuinely, I've watched Sex Education, loved his work, didn't quite know what we were going to get until I was in the room. And meeting you since, Ncuti, it's just going to be a joy. I'm properly thrilled. It's going to be a blazing future.
Much pressure?
Yes, yeah, but I feel like I can handle it.
Pressure's good.
Pressure's good.
Yeah. A little bit of swagger there. What do you think?
Very likeable. I have to say he's very likeable, and that's the first time I've seen him talk. Apart from the few clips that I watched of him, is Eric this afternoon. And I have to be honest, I'm a bit more optimistic having seen that. He seems like a genuinely nice bloke. I must be honest.
It comes across very well when you see him with the Sex Education fans, because that show does have its fan base just like every other show does. Okay. They're very young, but they do they are there, and he's very approachable with it. From what I've seen when I've watched these sort of things, in the past, and I think that comes through on that because he seemed to be sort of like there's a relief that comes through there, isn't there? Like, oh God, I can talk about this now. Thank God it's actually out. Because that is probably still the biggest secret in show business, and to not have to be able to acknowledge it for 3 or 4 months, that must be awful.
Yeah, but what also I really like with what you saw there when he was talking in his own statement, which makes me think that statement in the press was him, because he was still talking about the legacy. He was still talking about the history of this show. He's not having a go. He's not bashing it. He's acknowledging it and he's celebrating it almost. It comes across.
Claiming it on behalf of anybody else. He just looks like he's there to have a good time obviously to
do the job.
And I think I saw another, maybe it was another interviewer who somebody said, "Oh, what are you excited about?" And he was like, "Oh, battling monsters." And I was like, "Yes, that's Doctor Who."
That's
just having fun.
Yeah. It still just worries me personally. I still want somebody who's a bit more eccentric, a little bit more off the wall, a bit more left field, a bit more mad. I genuinely do want that. And he seems a really lovely bloke, but he seemed quite normal in inverted commas for once.
Oh, really?
You're allowed to have that opinion too.
Would you go out dressed like this?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I have done in the past.
I'm talking to the wrong bloke, aren't I?
He forgot his shirt. That's what it is.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was thinking.
Earlier, Ian,
Is
I
that
used to
his
go out
tie?
to gate at 29 without my trousers on. You know, it was
You
fine.
said that to me before, and that gives me a horrible image in my head, JT.
I
I
mean,
just
out
don't
to
want to
Newcastle.
see that.
I'd argue, Simon, that's pretty eccentric. But I know, of course.
I'll give him that. That is that's bold. That's brave. I will say
look at that chest and look at those pecs. I mean, if you have that and you've worked hard on that, bloody show it off. I mean,
No, that's implants.
Yeah.
It's a good looking boy, as I say, but that, well, the one on the left is. I mean, I'm really
he's doing a bit of a Janet Jackson there, isn't he?
Yes, probably. Yeah, we'll get into trouble with that. But what got me about these pictures is I get the sense, looking at these pictures, that Russell is very much protecting his leading man. I don't know. I mean, there's just a sort of aware. I think Russell is in the know, if you know what I mean, about everything that's going on.
You're going to say something else.
Probably. He's he's very, very shrewd.
And he's also been he's still a Doctor Who fan. He must be aware of the backlash. He must understand what's gone on. He must see both sides of all the things that's gone on over the last 5 years with the series that's just about to end or has ended production wise. Because I look at those and he seems to be just very much right. Who's around? Who's going to say something? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's stood very close, isn't he? In a lot of the photos to him. He's not like stood behind him. He's almost like looks like he wants to hug him. But
he probably feels a certain amount of fatherly pride in having cast this man in this part. He probably does feel a duty of care up to a point because he hasn't been a lead actor before. So he's got very, very few credits. When David Tennant hadn't, up until maybe Casanova, I know that he'd done a few things when he was much, much younger, like taking over the asylum. But David Tennant was very much up and coming. It does feel like this is rather a leap for an actor like Ncuti Gatwa, and perhaps Russell's conscious of that too.
I don't think that really matters with Doctor Who because it happened with Tom and it happened with Matt. To an extent, it happened to Tennant. So I don't think that.
I think Stephen Moffat was similar with Matt Smith, though. I
was it? I can't remember.
I think so.
But it is all that whole thing, and possibly tying in what some of the others are saying here, and what some of the Spacebookers are saying is, we're going to have to look to make sure to see when it's all done. Can Ncuti carry this enormous show? And the responsibility of this show now, can he carry this to make it, with the writing, with the production, huge again, not just in its home, the United Kingdom, but around the world?
Yeah, and that's the crux here, that he has got a heck of a lot on his shoulders. He's got more on his shoulders probably than any actor, I would argue. Well, certainly since Christopher Eccleston. Or Peter Davison, for example. Peter Davison was the same kind of. I mean, his Peter Davison's was very different dynamic, simply because he had to make it work after Tom Baker had left, the most popular Doctor of all time. And now Ncuti's got to follow arguably the least popular Doctor of all time, and as JT says, make it a success again. There's a lot.
I wouldn't say that's arguable. I'd say that's proven, Simon.
And the one thing that I have to give credit for here is it's a difficult decision for Russell and whoever else has been involved in the decision-making process as to who to cast, and so they must. I am as somebody else has said previously on this evening, we've got to put our faith in them that Ncuti walked through the door and blew their socks off, because they knew they'd got to make the right decision as to who they cast, because so much rided on it. Russell T Davies' career potentially rests on the success or failure of this next.
You could be right.
So they must have the right man for the part. They must do. I trust them that they have.
Let's hoping.
I think he'll be on stage at the BAFTAs at some point this evening, so we'll probably have more news on this in the next 48 hours.
He will get a standing ovation. I bet.
Yeah, I hope he does get a warm reception, because I say,
he will.
I know he's not a child. He's a 29-year-old man, but those are humble words. He seems a likable guy, and the fact that he said he was scared, and I think I can relate to that.
I can see them rewriting his introduction to present the award for whatever category he's presenting to be, ladies and gentlemen, the new Doctor Who. He will get a huge amount of support from show business, because that's what they're like. They may stab you in the back when you're out the room, but when you're in the room, they love you.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at some more words here from Ncuti and Russell T Davies back on the carpet going into the BAFTAs today.
I love a carpet.
So do I.
I've no idea who this is. No, that woman.
Hello. I'm the king.
Must be taller than you think, because Russell's a big bloke, isn't he?
Yeah.
Speechless.
She's a good interviewer, isn't she?
Sometimes
Seems like a bit campy, this does.
And it's like, yeah, that's a thing that's happening to someone. But this really, I felt it in my stomach when I saw the Doctor Who news. It means the world. How's your day? What a day.
It's been emotional. Yeah. It's been emotional. I was just saying, I woke up crying, and then I started dancing, and then I was just like, it's just. But I'm glad that it's finally out, and I don't have to keep the secret anymore, because I'm terrible.
How long have you kept it secret for?
For
February.
That does tie in with what we heard, wasn't it? February, and we did hear that it was a man.
I'm so happy for you. Like I really am. We've partied together and taken it back. When in Glasgow, like years ago.
Like 2012.
Yeah.
2002. We've known each other a long time.
Yeah. What channel is this on?
This is on the BAFTAs YouTube channel.
This is what's supposed to happen. This is what's supposed to happen. How do you feel?
But this young lady's obviously known.
We love him, don't we? And I want everyone to see it and share in the love. And it's also, we've just got ourselves the biggest free press launch in history.
Let's go.
Here it is. We're very
very much.
This is the best day ever. And, Doctor Who aside, both of you up for so many awards today. It's really celebratory, because TV has meant more than ever, I think, over the last couple of years. What has it meant to you?
I have just loved seeing the strides taken in terms of representation, and I think there's a lot more.
Stick to the script, son. Stick to the script.
There's a lot being done. Yeah. There's a lot of wonderful things being done.
Not going to hold that against him.
But yeah, just seeing the diversity on screen has been great, and
we should.
He's just saying what he's supposed to say, isn't he?
We're celebrating some of the most glorious television of the past year. Sex Education and It's a Sin have made me laugh, have made me cry, have made me think, and have done the same for so many people I know. So how will you be celebrating if and when you walk away with that accolade?
Copious glasses of champagne, I think, and just like a boogie with everyone inside. I'm so excited. Nights like this are really nice to celebrate the industry and what we do, and so yeah. Chill with the gang.
Chill with the gang.
I'd be happy to see the cast celebrate, because we're behind the scenes people. It's all about the public faces.
Russell T Davies behind the scenes.
Yeah, I've never known you to be shy and retiring.
Well, Russell, you have given us television that I just want to say thank you to you for. So thank you on behalf of everyone watching. It's powerful beyond words. And Ncuti, congratulations, man!
Thank you.
You're a star. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm so glad you think so.
Yes. Go and enjoy your night.
Yeah, get off. That's what she's trying to say. Get off. I've got people to talk to.
Yeah, he's probably on the outside of a few brandies by now, I'd say there. Yeah, so that gives us a little more of an idea about who this guy is and about his connection with the showrunner there, because we used to seeing him. I remember particularly with David Tennant, not so much with Chris Eccleston. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen, apart from a few pictures, a few static images, I've never actually seen Russell with Chris Eccleston, but you saw him with David Tennant quite a lot, and they would laugh and they would take the mickey out of one another quite copiously, I think. So yeah, to see them two together like that, it shows us a bond, an amount of trust and a proprietorial sense coming from Russell T Davies too, as one would expect, taking this guy onto the global stage really for the first time. Social media has probably erupted. I haven't had a chance to have a proper look. We do have this from one of the more vocal people in the Doctor Who community on social media, Georgia Tennant. She had Georgia Tennant had this to say: a simple "hello, Dad." She retweeted the press release there. But this was sent to me by the mighty JT, and I understand that you've been looking out of the Doctor Who loft and surveying the social media world, haven't you? So what have people been saying? What's the conversation been like on the usual platforms, the Twitters, the Facebooks, the wherevers?
This time round, it's I'm going to say it's very different. I was trying to look for words to describe what's been going on social media today, and we've done a couple of these reaction shows now where social media, you can tell what's been going on. This one has me really, really confused because you can't. The words I am looking at doing is muted, underwhelmed, expected, but I can't think of anything else to describe what's gone on social media today. So some of the stuff I've had has been basically, I'm not going to, I will mention them, but there are certain ladies that are not very happy today. That's all I'm going to say. Bye-bye. Okay, so they're gone there. Certain things about this being, what's got me about this as well is that there's been certain people on social media that have actually gone out to look for trouble and have created trouble with their tweets.
But they always do. That's what social media is.
Absolutely, Simon. Yeah, Barnaby, because what they've done is they've gone out looking for isms, phobias, bigotry in general, and they've sort of created certain, debates and
antagonism between one another, or just making very broad statements that they knew would be contentious.
Yeah, and it's been done deliberately. And I'm looking at, I didn't see too much of it, but there was one person that apparently I've never heard of and will remain nameless, from Bogfanish and Doctor Who magazine, amongst other things. And the key words here we've got is in before. He started his tweet with in before the trash side of Doctor Who, #NMD Twitter clan moaning with their classic calls of ugh, BBC, tick boxes, blah, blah, blah. What about white male role models, etc., etc.? And the PC woke liberals at it again, insecure comments. I thought that was unnecessary, totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
And the key word at the very beginning of the tweet was in before. Nobody was saying anything, but they've made it an issue because of this guy's skin color. I just don't get it. This one was hilarious because they got this one wrong. To paraphrase the Doctor, I felt a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of gammons cried out in terror and rage. That's Ben Kenobi, you knob.
Yes,
that's also, and I also do consider that to be a racist statement.
Yeah, I mean, and there was a few of that, I have to say, from the certain elements. But do you know what? I decided let's not focus on that. I'm going to give you some other stuff here as well, because it's there. We know it's going to be there. So that's that. It was there's some good stuff I want to look at for as well. It's great they chose an actor again. Let's see if he can pull it off. He needs far better stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. We're all agreed
we've got one that I sort of liked. He's too young, nice and simple. Yes, I know what.
We can all relate to that. The police are getting younger every day as well.
Yeah. This is such exciting news. Does this mean we can now wipe the Chibnall era from existence?
Yes.
Never needed permission to do that anyway, but yeah, carry on.
We've already done that, I think.
Oh, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. Well, most of us have.
Never happened.
I'm super excited was coming from some. I hope he's familiar with the series and character, because I would like to see Doctor Who recover from Chibnall's spiral. Another one here, which is literally Who. The BBC continues to decline into unwatchable wokeness. Now, that's another example of stuff we've got there. Another one here, RTD turning popular science fiction into woke social commentary. What a shame. This one was quite nice. It's a bloke. I woke up to the global sounds of the majority of fandom breathing a sigh of relief. Coming through on that one. I stopped watching Doctor Who a few years ago, says this Twitter person, but with RTD coming back and now Ncuti Gatwa going to be the Doctor, I think I may have to start watching again. There was a nice one here from Dundee Rep, which Ncuti had some time with. We are so proud of Ncuti Gatwa, a former Rep graduate actor who has just been announced as the next Doctor. Now that's interesting because David Tennant was also a member of the Dundee Rep, so a similar line of experience there. Another one that ties in what we were talking before. It's interesting how lackluster this announcement of the new Doctor is. It was just a tweet, but I think that was probably the classiest thing to do. This was also quite nice. It's the beginning, and the moment has been prepared for. What's got me about this, though, is that when the newspapers have run this, the British public haven't really responded. Now, I tried to look on Twitter, I tried to look on Facebook and a few other things, and it was a lovely day. I'm going to say the old excuse here, guys. It was a lovely day in United Kingdom today, and I just don't think they were watching. But no, I think that's something else we need to come back to, because that's why I'm going to use the word muted. I genuinely think the British public didn't give a toss.
Yeah. I think you're probably right, and are we genuinely very surprised about that? Because as we've talked about already, you know, the fallout from the Chibnall era is exactly that. The public don't give a toss. They might start watching, and if there's a major relaunch and a massive publicity campaign, you'll probably draw some of them back in for that once it actually kicks off screening. But no, I think at this point in time, the public are just a bit. I think this is what had you. Here's the thing. Ian's going to like this one. Had you cast Hugh Grant as the Doctor, I think it would have exploded.
Yeah, it would have.
Better or worse,
he's lying.
No, and as far as I've got no problem with being an unknown. That's probably a good thing. And so
it would have been.
The public are going to be muted simply because how can you be excited about somebody that you haven't got a clue who they are?
It's been deflated. Yeah.
I mean,
suppose somebody, JT, we're not going to see on screen for 18 months, possibly the best part of 2 years.
Well, we think it's coming back late next year, don't we? We definitely know it's on for November 23, and they will have to have some sort of marketing thing there. But the ambivalence that I noticed from the public side of stuff today, it says a lot to me. And I'm hoping Bad Wolf and BBC Studios are latching onto that, because it will now all depend on what happens next and leading up to excellent. It has to be superb stories. We've covered this on the show before. It has to be fantastic stories with great characters that you can invest in, not necessarily relate to, because I'm not into all that nonsense, but we need to be able to recognize the Doctor. We need to have the Time Lord back in the United Kingdom for the British public to get anywhere near this. I do. That's the other reason I was quite surprised with this announcement, because I was, as I've said before, I was expecting a name to take it into the 60th, even if they just did the 60th, because that would have brought the public back. So this is quite a brave move from them on that sort of stuff. Is it going to be fresh? Will the show be energetic? Let's hope so, because the reaction from the public on social media isn't.
Does he have pronouns?
No. No.
But I was just thinking, though, I think once we get like the shot of him in the costume with a companion with the TARDIS, I think the problem is it's because he's not, the name's just come out, it's not really connected to anything yet to do with Doctor Who. It's sort of in the ether. So I think once, like I said, we see him in his costume, we see him with the sort of iconography of the Doctor and the show, I think that could possibly then get the British public, I'm thinking, to go, oh, right, and I know that part of Doctor Who, and he's then associated with it.
You've certainly got a point, and let's hope that's correct, and let's hope that happens. And again, it's going to have to be down to how they market it and how they store it. Having said that, he does have fans, and they are delighted. There are an awful lot of them, whether they be his personal fans or the fans of Sex Education itself as the show. They are obviously a certain age, but a lot of them are delighted. A lot of them have been saying, "What's Doctor Who?" Isn't that very, very interesting? That was the target market that they were supposed to go for in 2018 onwards. It didn't work, because a lot of them have said, "What's Doctor Who?" and they've had to look it up. So if anything,
telling, and it's sad.
Yeah,
it is. And if anything, he may be bringing in. Let's just hope it's not the same sort of culture that Whittaker and Chibnall aimed for and brought in as well, who seem to be on the verge of quitting the show, which actually I've got to laugh at them, because they're all for equality and diversity. Hello.
It's it's funny you should say that about the social media following and about Charlotte. You're right. It's out there in the ether. It's an idea. We're trying to get a handle on this guy, and to see him sort of marry with the part, gel with the role, embody the Doctor. And so it won't be long until people do start thinking about the things about what's he going to wear, what's the TARDIS going to look like, all these other calling cards. And yeah, I saw this from social
Who's
media.
the companion?
Too. Yeah, yes, all that. Who's he going
to
talk
What if that's the name? To counterbalance. What if we get a Catherine Tate style name?
Oh
no.
No.
What if it's the name?
Shudder from
Please, God, no.
Yeah, in the United Kingdom, Matt, Catherine Tate was a name.
Yeah, no. So it was.
We might go for a name to counterbalance the fact we've got an unknown Doctor, or they may do a Karen Gillan.
I hope he doesn't wear that as the Doctor. That's all I can
obviously,
another Clara,
picture,
please.
Ian, people, the fans of Doctor Who have, obviously the fans of Sex Education and Ncuti's pre-established fan base. They knew who he was, and they're asking what's Doctor Who. But the Doctor Who fans have naturally flocked to his own social media. He's active particularly on Instagram, but he's also got a Twitter account too. And yes, so they've been all over this poor man's account today, scrolling through posts that are weeks and months old. The poor man, he's probably getting all these notifications, wondering what the hell's going on. But this is the picture that they've all landed on for a potential look for the Doctor. I have to say, I do like that jacket. I really like that jacket.
Well, if you look at it, if you change the colours, you've got the baggy trousers, you've got the big coat, you've got the Tom Baker cardigan, and you've got the David Tennant shoes.
Contrast down.
I can't see that because that again, I mean, he's wearing quite a lot of money there, and I don't think they're going to do that in a actual studio look.
Has he got a man bag?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's
Listen, that's £5,500 bag he's got there. He's probably been given it. Shut it.
Maybe, Matt. He came on his bike, and that's a puncture repair kit. We'll never know. But it looks pretty smart. I thought
Jewish women would kill for that handbag. I can assure you.
They can have it.
And a cardigan.
And the cardigan. Jesus.
Well, thanks for looking across social media for us, JT. So we didn't have to. I would imagine we're going to see a lot more of that as the week carries on, and as our conversations on the podcast and Type 40 Live will be coming back to YouTube and Facebook in the not too distant future. So yeah, you're going to want to stay notified for that. Please like this video. That helps more than you think. Please like the video. Subscribe to the Spacebook channel for everything Type 40, live streams, podcasts, videos, and other bits and bobs. Yes, that is a technical term. Hit the cluster bell so you get all the notifications, everybody. Yeah, you'll be with us for every single journey from here until whenever Ncuti makes his debut as the Doctor. Shall we have a look and see what else people are saying in the live chat on YouTube and Facebook? See what's caught their imaginations about everything that we've been saying, or maybe they think we're talking out of our cloister rooms. Let's check it out. People are talking about Sylvester McCoy Doctor, your favourite, Ian. Soundwave Man says the McCoy Doctor of 2022. The budget goes up like the 80s until ultimately the show will become unsustainable and will be cancelled. That wasn't what happened in the 80s. I'm not sure what you're getting at there. The retro doc, Gary Akers, is in the chat here, and he says the Doctor's a rebel. So naturally, he won't tuck in his shirt.
Blasphemy.
Good point. Robert Payne is speculating about that man bag, Barnaby. Says that it could be bigger on the inside, just like the one that Mary Poppins used to have.
Yeah. Well, you may jest, but David Tennant's pockets apparently were, as he said.
Felix the cat had a bag.
We've got a comment here from Aidan McGeer who says, I feel as we get on in years, speak for yourself, Aidan, we get more people who only understand the Doctor on surface levels. For example, a very unappealing, colourful outfit. The Doctor would totally wear that.
See what you're saying, Aidan.
Yeah, it's still got to come from the performance first. I think if between them they decide what the character is going to be wearing before they arrive at how the part is going to be played, before he gels with the character, then it's putting the cart before the horse.
Again, we're dealing with professionals that brought back Doctor Who for this century. and they know the show, they know what they're going to do, and we're also dealing with the fact that Russell would have written down what sort of character the Doctor would have wanted to be in his scripts, which is how an actor would have played it in an audition to that part, if you know what I mean. And then the individual actor, as we know, always brings in an element of what they would want to do for it. So I would say, seeing as he's been there since February, those discussions have been had. They understand what sort of character he would want to do, and therefore, you know, there's an old saying, of course, in show business that, you know, you really feel the character when you put on the shoes, which was also put into 1996's TV movie. There's an element of that. And I would think that's where Ncuti and Russell and everybody have gone, right, this is how he wants to do it. This is the writing side of it. And this is the sort of... Because don't forget, Russell actually said in his 2004 scripts, before Eccleston was cast, the Doctor's wearing a batter leather jacket.
You know, character, wasn't it? Got a comment here from Daniel who says, I'm hyped. And yet at the other end of the spectrum here, we have Derek who says, honestly, I'm finished. I'm done. It's over. So we have got a real mix here.
And I understand that. I really do.
MDB says he's got a massive Instagram following. Ian, do you do Insta?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm not going to follow him though. I you know,
follow me on Instagram.
I do follow you. Do I follow you?
No, you don't. None of you do.
Damn it.
I'll keep an eye on you.
I mean, the thing about that though is it's not new. I mean, I came out of the show like Matt did in 2017. You know, I was not interested at all. A lot of us may be returning now, but some of us will still be saying it's still not for us.
Oh, Hugh.
But don't forget, it's all about change, everybody. It's all about change.
Hugh Grant is back in the chat, Ian, and says, my ears are burning. He's turned up just to speak to you there.
He's lying.
Peter Harrington speculating maybe March 2024 for the series. That's what I thought. But now I still think that's going to be the case. But I can't see how it cannot be. But you never know. You never know. I didn't think they would announce the new Doctor at midday on a Sunday afternoon. So
I personally, I mean, just like Simon, I personally think he's wrong. But I do wish him luck. I wish him all the luck in the world. You know.
Remember the original press release, to go back to that as well, that they did say there would be a 60th anniversary special followed by a series. If they start filming at the end of the summer or whenever they're going to start filming, you know, next few weeks or whatever, it doesn't mean to say that, you know, they could be taking, that's a 9-month shoot, that's going to take them into next year with a break for Christmas. They might put the anniversary special on the end of that. They might put it into the middle. Who knows? Launch it with the 60th anniversary special and go for March. We know that Russell wants it back on in March. As a starting point for the series. That's not going to happen for March 2023.
That's the question, isn't it? We've got a comment from Sam Woolley who says, can't wait for New Who. Haven't watched since Capaldi ended. Smart. I think a great many people do feel that when Capaldi walked off, so did real Doctor Who. Certainly the character as they recognised it, something that numerous people that work on Type 40, we do feel that way. And I think the general public certainly do feel that way too. So yeah, let's keep hoping, Sam. Good to see you there. Who Fan Dan says we needed a massitive name to get attention again. Grant would have been great in a limited run. So yes, thanks very much like a couple of us there. I see what you mean about the muted response. I think people in our chat are, they have concerns. Some of them are excited, but I think it is very, very even.
Dan, would you consider the muted response might be connected to the color of the man's skin? Do you think?
I don't know. Nobody's particularly. No? I mean, no. I think
you do, Matt.
It could be, but I think generally speaking, I think it's more, as Barnaby was saying, and that people are going to be slow to warm to this entire intellectual property again. I think people are over.
They've been burned. They've really been burned. Everybody, a lot of people have been burned.
I think they've been burned. I also agree with Simon. He said over and over again that I think the general public are numb to hyperbole. And although we've seen and heard Russell and Ncuti there on the red carpet, and they're excited. Of course, they're excited. This is their lives and their career. I think the general public who are receiving this are thinking this is however long into the future. You know, I'll go to bed and get up hundreds of times before then. I'll worry about it when the time comes. I'll decide whether I'm going to have a TV license then or not when that time comes. And the fact is that, the TV age that interviewer was talking about means that there's series after series after series that gets hyped and hyped and hyped. So I think it could be something to do to do with that too?
It's to do with the two groups, isn't it? You've got the fan base, which is splintered, as we know, and then you've got the public. And the UK public are worn out. They don't care. They've got more difficult priorities than that, as apart from the new Doctor Who. They've got to put food on the table, for one thing. Real life is really getting in the way of this sort of thing now. And that's the other responsibility I think that Doctor Who will have to do next year. It's going to have to really bring escapism from the real world and get rid of all those soap opera elements, as I've said before, to be able to say, look, you know, here's a man traveling in time and space and having fun with his friend and battling monsters. Because the escapism route is what's really going to matter now when it comes to bringing back the British public, as well as the performance of our new lead.
I hope they do bring back the British public, because I actually honestly truly believe they should have got someone with pedigree and someone that's known to actually bring the British public to Doctor Who. And they didn't. So they are taking a risk.
This is it. This is their last shot, Ian. This is it. I mean, they get this right. They get this right within the first few episodes. They need to get it within the first few episodes. If they don't, they may as well kiss the rest of the season goodbye and the rest of the show for another 20 years.
I agree, Simon.
It's got to be episode 1. If they don't do it, it is sunk.
You are right. No, you're right. Pressure, then. Do you mean the 60th?
No, the first episode.
Okay.
I can't see the public in the UK, Matt, being concerned with the fact that next year is the 60th anniversary. That's for geeks like all of us, people that love the show. The public might come along in its way to say, "Oh, I wonder if there's going to be old monsters in it, or old doctors, or something like that." They may do that, but they're so divorced from the show right now that it has to be right from the. I mean, as I said before, now especially we know who the new Doctor is. Why would you put him in a show with several other of his predecessors who will overshadow him completely? That's not going to happen. It's not right. It has to be all about him, his new character, re-establishing the show, and get on with it. And I think they will know. They will know what they're at stake for. But
here's hoping he's got the power to actually bring the punters in.
We joke on this show quite a lot about the fact that Doctor Who fandom is always celebrating something, and for us, I think we know which of those are monumental and which of those are just silly things that we like to mark and have a laugh about, Barnaby. The little things that be quite personal depending on when we came to the show, don't we? But I believe that the general public, they probably look at us and think we're always in a fervour of excitement about anything, that we're just a bunch of overexcited kids. What do you think?
We are.
Yeah. And it's quite a good way to live.
Yeah, it is. Very good way to
Guilty
live.
as charged. Strawbridge says the muted response reflects how people feel about Doctor Who now. That's kind of what we were saying too. Carol Jude says, I've been seeing comments about colour on lots of shows. It wasn't shocking, but it's really sad. I'm disappointed to see that that's been your experience there, Carol. I'll take your word for it.
Well, we're doing it now. We're doing it. We've talked about it as well now, and it's such a shame. Had they done this in the 80s, which wasn't going to happen at all for the reasons I mentioned before, but had they done it in 2004 for 2005 broadcast, we wouldn't be where we are today.
I actually believe that the Doctor shouldn't be black, and I'm putting that out on the record. But as I said, I'm willing to give this guy a chance. Let's give him a chance. Let's see what he does.
But I do think the thing to remember with all of this is, yes, we have talked about colour on the podcast today, but let's not forget that, because that is what the agenda is these days. That's what society talks about. We that's what happens now. It's become an issue. It's become a talking point, and so we're merely reflecting that. So I'd hate people to look into this podcast and something that is not there. We're merely reflecting what has become societal issues that we're all talking about.
Absolutely. And the entertainment industry has pressed that heavily too, haven't they? They've been a major component part of that. Soundwave Man says, I feel like history is repeating itself. I have genuine concerns that the previous stories have almost destroyed it. I'm doubtful it'll work, and nothing to do with skin colour, gender, or whatever else. Thank you, Soundwave Man.
Soundwave Man, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think honestly, the majority of us Doctor Who fans will be in that same boat, and I think that is because of what's just been done to the show, which has been destroyed over the last few years, and catered to a minority. The last episode of the alleged Doctor Who, which went out over Easter, has had the lowest viewing figures in its entire history. Now that says it all. That market is probably now that market is probably now going to leave the show, which gives us the fact that many of us, like myself, are prepared, although I'm sitting on the fence with this. I'm not particularly 100% excited. I am intrigued. I will come back to the show and I will watch it. I think a lot of us have got to do that, because,
we've got to support it. We have to.
Yeah, but Simon's also right, because unfortunately the reason that all these discussions come in now is because that's society in the 21st century around the world today, and the perception is there, and the perception is on social media. Was this just diversity casting? Let's hope not. Let's listen to the professionals when they've said he came in, and they've made a decision it's going to be someone else, and he came in last and went pow, and they saw the Doctor.
Correct.
Well, here's hoping.
Yeah.
Matt Smith clinched the part in almost exactly the same way, didn't he, Charlotte? You know, they had somebody in mind there. Matt was the very last person they saw for the role, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was, or it was the same sort of idea of they had somebody else in mind and Matt just blew them away. Honestly, and it's good that you just said, Matt, because this response almost reminds me of what response Matt got when it was like, who's this unknown? Who's this young actor? Who's this sort of somebody from nowhere who was just suddenly introduced to us? And I think, honestly, some of the mutedness is because it's an unknown, is because it isn't that name. We haven't got any track record to go off. So people are just sort of a bit puzzled and a bit, I think, honestly, that's where some of the mutedness is coming from, because he's, like I said, it reminds me so much of Matt almost.
Well, not from where I was. From where I was, everybody was excited about Matt. It's all the Doctor Who fans I knew. Maybe just in your. For me, definitely, they're very excited about Matt, and I was too. Mind you, I didn't know who he was, so I was excited. Sorry.
My experience was I was the only one who was
excited.
No, give Matt a chance.
Give him a chance. Yeah.
I had so many people around me who were like, "Oh no, he's going to ruin it. He's rubbish. Like he's not going to do it well." I saw a lot of that
too, Charlotte. I went to a party not long after he was announced. I was at a house party and people were talking about it. A lot of David Tennant fangirls were really, really upset about it. and in the time in between too, I was still quite active on Gallifrey base then. And a sound, I don't know if anybody remembers this, somebody recorded a little bit of sound offset of Matt whilst they were recording Victory of the Daleks.
Yes.
They got a bit of his dialogue and they put it onto Gallifrey. You remember that, Barnaby? And it was the bit where he says, "I am the Doctor and you are the Daleks." And people were playing that and scoffing at it, saying, "This is going to be terrible. Do you remember that too, Barnaby?"
Yeah, but it was, and the thing is as well, because there were loads of different arguments saying it's only one take. He probably said that numerous times on particular takes. But I think Matt got a lot of attacks as well. I mean, there were a lot of people talking about his appearance as well, saying he was ugly.
So
it really does, like,
he looked alien, which is what we want.
Exactly.
But immediately when he changed from David Tennant to him and he kissed his knee, that was it. I thought, this guy's Doctor Who.
Yeah,
we all had the point where Matt won us over. Every single one of us had that specific moment.
I'm gonna misquote the lovely Liz Sladen now, if I may, because what Liz said, said once at a convention I was at, and I was lucky enough actually to be interviewing her, was that every time an actor leaves the role, people become very, very proprietorial about that role because the latest incumbent is going. And then suddenly, within 4 or 5 episodes of the new one, you've forgotten because we're actually quite fickle in that sense. What this ties in with the fact is I'm hoping that's going to happen again because of performance, because of writing, because of the look of the show, because Russell has actually gone on an interview recently and said that he got to a particular part of the All New Who and he got excited in himself because he was about to write something he's never written before. So that said to me, he's right. He's coming at this from an angle. But again, it's about that fact that we are just coming out of this whole thing where fandom has been divided. A lot of us have not been invested in the show. A lot of us have not watched the show. We've been called all sorts of things. You know, we've had attacks on this very show at times. We now need to start looking at a healing process. We have the Doctor back in the form of a male, a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey, and let's see where we're going with that, and let's support this all new Doctor Who as much as we possibly can, and let's judge it. Let's get back together when the shows are on air, and let's critique it.
I would agree with all of that, and all I would say is episode 1. I'll wait for episode 1, and it's all going to hinge on episode 1, and it might lose me after episode 1.
It might lose me as well, Simon. You know,
and that McGear says gentlemen, that if Matt Smith is ugly, I must be monstrous.
Wasn't it Moffat that said he had a certain look? Was that Moffat that started that? He said this guy was in front of him and he had a different look or something. I just see a model in front of me when
I was at a convention where Peter Capaldi was he just finished his tenure, and someone in the audience just stood up and said, "Oh, you just to let you know, you're a brilliant doctor, and Matt Smith sucked."
That's terrible.
And yeah, well, that's what Peter Capaldi said. He's like, well, you know.
We've got a comment here from John Yulden who says they have picked the right one who smashed the audition, and it's great. They actually had an audition process this time, unlike 4 years ago. Thank you for all the comments here. I don't think any of us are going to argue with that. Thank you for all the comments here on YouTube and Facebook. We've enjoyed them. Keep them coming by all means. And don't forget.
Before you wind up as well, to time with what John said there, I've said it before on the show. I'm going to say it again. At some point in the future, we will know who auditioned, and we will know who nearly got the role.
It was Barnaby.
Oh, damn it! I've been keeping it so quiet.
We're going to have to try another 3 years until another 3 years or 4 years now, Barnaby. You realise that, don't you?
Let's take another look. Let's head back to the wrap of the show. But before that, let's take another look at Ncuti Gatwa. This is a slightly different side to him that I found earlier on. So this isn't quite an ad break, but it sort of is. But yeah, this is him playing a completely different role to the one he plays in Sex Education, I understand. So maybe this will show a different side to him. Maybe this will channel a little bit of the Doctor. We'll see you again in a moment.
Man, machine, beauty, beast, brains, brawn, like riding lightning. A 1,000-horse stampede lashed by the devil himself, defying physics, defying gravity, defying death, picturing every twist, every turn, corner, chicane, every inch of unforgiving tarmac made real in the theatre of the mind. The racing driver lives for one thing: to win. I love to win, but I also love to dance.
You bring your body, come here, make me pattern, yana. A bit of vibes and done. And if you tell me, say you down, me, I got pattern, yana. A bit of vibes and done. I can show ya. You ain't gotta worry about no one.
That's the theme for the new Doctor Who.
I like that. I've seen a couple of clips earlier on. Never seen him act before. Seen a couple of clips earlier on with what I would call quite the performance that you described, JT and Barnaby. Who've seen Sex Education.
I do like the Scottish accent. You're right. I could understand that.
A very So earlier on, that camp performance that you described, that comic relief performance, and there I feel we saw a clip of what could almost be a completely different actor. Very lots of swagger, enigmatic, quite masculine, and yet playful too. I saw some of the Doctor in that guy just on screen.
Really? Did you? I believe you. Right? He seems a lovely bloke. He seems a really nice bloke. He seems a decent enough actor. Does he seem the Doctor? I'm sorry. At the moment, it's a no from me. At the moment,
but you know what? People said the same thing about Pertwee.
So we've got the from the Horton vote. What are you going with this, Barnaby? You're going with the or you're getting a big tick? What do you think? Or is it somewhere in the middle?
Somewhere in the middle. I don't know. Okay. That's the thing as well. I mean, yeah, it's first episode. I'll see in the first episode. I'm going to be. It's a very boring answer, but it's all I can say. I cannot judge until I've seen. It could be something completely different from that. That's the thing as well. I see bits. I see a bit of an eccentricity in there, and I think he's a good actor, as I said before. And in the middle, boring answer, but in the middle.
Okay, we've been talking about this for quite a while now. Matt, where are you at now? Is it the or the giant tick, or somewhere in the middle for you? Are you hovering?
Well, I jumped off the cliff from the very beginning, and then I sort of abseiled back up. Okay. So at the moment, I'm back off on the cliff, and I'm just going to wait.
Oh, there's Mexico City here. It's like, oh my god,
promising. There's promising. I hope you got a sandwich in your rucksack there. It's a long way till we get to see him as the Doctor. Charlotte, what are your thoughts about this one? In, out, shake it all about.
I'm going to just say excited, because I can't really say yes as a Doctor, because I haven't seen enough acting yet of him to sort of fully say that. But I'm going to say excited because I like his energy, and I think if we can have a bit of that and the serious side and the gravitas, because it's also my favourite Doctor's Matt Smith, and on the surface his Doctor could be quite childish, could be quite silly,
very fey sometimes too.
Yeah, but when he had to, God, he could pull it off, and he could have those sort of "I'm the Doctor, listen to me" moments. So I think his personality isn't a turn-off. I think it's a positive. I'm excited it's male, and I'm excited that I don't have a clue what he's going to do. Like I said at the beginning, that's really the curiosity is what's got me excited as well here.
Excellent, thanks for that, Ian. You've got very sore misgivings about this. You think this was probably a mistake, but are you still in the same place as you were a couple of hours ago? Are you wavering a little?
Yeah, I don't think this guy should have been cast as the Doctor. As I said, for the show, for the preservation of the show, they should have cast someone that the majority knew, and then obviously would pull back the fans, and then you can cast anyone you want beyond that point. But saying that, right, hopefully he'll kiss his teeth when he's the Doctor, because that would be really cool if he did. You guys don't know what kissing your teeth is?
No idea. What
you can't just leave us there. You have to fill us in, mate. You have to tell us what that is.
That's when you kiss your teeth. That's what black people do. But he probably won't do that because he could be the Doctor.
They've never done that when I've been snogging them.
But you know what, his acting there was pretty good. He had the bit of seriousness there. So do you know what? My hands are in the air. I just don't know whether this guy's gonna be a good Doctor or not. But I've got my fingers crossed, and I think let's just go forward. And as Simon says, let's see if it's from the first episode. If he doesn't get me in the first episode, I am out of there.
Well, at least his hands aren't in the air because he just doesn't care.
Doesn't care.
How about you, JT? You had a firm line in the sand. You knew that you were out if they went in a particular direction. You seem like you're back in, that you've got a certain degree of hope, and you've got a certain amount of faith, if not in Russell, then in Bad Wolf. How do you feel now? Because it's been a long day, hasn't it?
How I feel.
I lost for words.
Yeah, it wasn't what I expected. It's an actor that I would never have thought of. So he must have had some sort of magic, some sort of spark in an audition. I am going to watch it. I am going to come back. And you can call me what you like for that. But I want the Doctor to be male. I have got that. Part of my deal to myself was I would give any new male actor a chance in the role, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. But very much like the others here, it's all in the performance. I do have faith, strangely, in the new team, having said what they've said, and the way that they're operating this new version of the show, and not courting publicity or not running after it like certain others may have done. So I'm not going to say I'm excited, but I'm going to say I'm back, and I'm going to watch the show.
JT is back.
He's back. Cautiously optimistic.
I may even buy Doctor Who magazine when they put the legendary cover out.
Oh my God!
Whatever it is.
And of course, Jane Tranter and Julie Gardner are main big players in this Bad Wolf, and everybody else that's there at the moment. In due course, we should find out a lot more about their general intentions, let's say the supporting cast, and maybe the format of the show and everything else that's going to come along there. So it's the very first drop of information about the next iteration of our favourite TV show, the world's longest running sci-fi and fantasy show. Don't listen to the Stargate fans. It's Doctor Who. It's always been Doctor Who, and it probably always will be Doctor Who. If they get this right, if they pull it off, for now, on Sunday, the 8th of May, 2022, we've been broadcasting live here, podcasting to you guys, and Ncuti Gatwa is the 14th Doctor. We've got a long wait to see him in the role, but we'll keep talking about it. We'll be here with all of the news. We'll be following the story as it rolls on, as press release breaks one by one, and the countdown to the 60th anniversary. 18 months away, maybe not even that now. Very, very excited about what could come there, and we'll be here for more conversations, not just about that, but about the past and the presence of Doctor Who too. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cluster bell to get notifications about what we're doing next and when we're doing it. That's the old girl starting up and calling time on another edition of Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast. Of course, I'll be back with another one fairly soon. Look out for that wherever you found this. It could have been on the dedicated home feed for Type 40, type40.podbean.com, or maybe we've rolled up on the podcatcher of your choice, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbay, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, you name it, we're pretty much on it. Could have been here at the Spacebook's YouTube channel, but we're also on the fabulous Fandom Podcast Network's master feed with all those other shows. That's an amazing universe all of its own, loaded with treats for your ears pretty much daily, never mind weekly. So go and check that out at the Fandom Podcast Network. Maybe you'd like to have your say on everything that we've been talking about. You think we've got it completely wrong? Is it all this mindless optimism, or have we gone too far the other way? Should we be putting the bunting out? Is there massive cause for celebration or something in between? Let us know in the comments section of this very video, or through our social media, Instagram and Twitter at Type 40 Doctor Who, or you can join us for conversations along with regeneration upon regeneration of Doctor Who fans in the Type 40 Facebook group, talking about classic Doctor Who, new Doctor Who, and speculating about all new Doctor Who and our all new Doctor. So go and find us there on Facebook. Get in touch with us on email as well, type40doctorwho@gmail.com. Okay, let's do the social medias. Where can people find you on Facebook again, Simon?
Oh, on Facebook, then come and find the Hoonatics. That's it. That's all I do.
Yeah, the Hoonatics on Facebook. Barnaby, you've got your own YouTube channel, haven't you? Where can people go and hear more of you and your readings?
Well, the best thing would probably go into Instagram, my Instagram, which is Barnaby Jago, all one word, because I put all sort of announcements and things on that. So, yeah, follow me on that if you want.
Charlotte, any links you'd like to drop? Where can people hear more from you?
Well, mostly here, because I don't really do social media. Type 40 Live and podcasts, and I'm a co-host and sort of share a channel with Daniel Leach, where we do a whole variety, can't get the words out, of different things, and we're probably going to be doing a lot more Doctor Who going forward, because we're both sort of ready for Russell now, so hopefully you'll hear a lot more Doctor Who in the future from us.
Excellent news. How about you, Matt? What do you do and where do you do it? Do you gram, do you tweet, or do you FB?
You can follow me on YouTube at Matt Pot, and yes, I am also on Facebook, so add me there. And I'm also on Twitter, so you can find me there as well. Thank you.
Ian, how about you, mate?
Just the Rebecca Gull channel. Just go to YouTube, type in Rebecca Gull. You find my channel. It's got films, got the web series, whatever. Find me on Twitter, Mega Geek. I'm around. That's it.
It's been a long day. Have you had your food yet? Did you have?
I just finished me dessert.
I thought you might have done.
Is it all meals while we've been on it?
Absolutely. Why waste any time?
And of course, JT, you yes. How's it going in the Type 40 Doctor Who collectors DVD and Blu-ray group that we set up?
Yeah, it's not too bad. We could do some more members there. If you are a DVD and Blu-ray collector, then join us on the Type 40 Blu-ray and DVD collectors page. We are still awaiting lots of news about stuff that was supposed to happen but hasn't. I know a lot of announcements have actually been put back because, of course, there are a lot of problems in the world right now, and that's one of the main reasons. But come and join us and tell us what your favorite stories are, what your favorite features are on the DVDs and the Blu-rays, and also the new versions of the 4K editions of Blu-ray of the Dalek movies are about to come out in the next few weeks. We'd like to hear what you think of those on the page as well.
So much to talk about. That's all. You and Doctor. That's where we go even geekier, and the dives are even deeper. God, that sounded rude, didn't it? But you know what we mean. You know what we mean.
Deeper.
Okay. Okay. I think that does wrap it up for us at the close of this huge day for Doctor Who. We have our new Doctor. He's here. Ncuti Gatwa. We've all got to get used to
Gatwa.
The fact that it may not say that when we look at it, but that's how we pronounce it. So welcome to the TARDIS, Ncuti, and we'll be back with more speculation, no doubt, as time goes on. But you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as the Spacebook, where I'll be geeking out about everything inside and outside of the TARDIS in popular culture, whatever catches my eye, my imagination, or both. And yeah, I'll probably be over the next week or so digesting this news and talking about it some more on podcasts and live streams and wherever I'm permitted. But that's it. Yeah, that's it for this time. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40. But that's it for this edition of the show. We'll speak to you all again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.